Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo claimed that the fight against illegal mining and the measures his government has put in place was actually yielding results. Is that the case? That is a conversation we are shining the spotlight on right after this break.
We placed a ban on illegal mining, the phenomenon we call galamsey, which was destroying our water bodies, vegetation, and our forests. Some 20,000 young people have been engaged to plant more than 30 million trees in 2 years to create jobs and restore degraded land. These policy initiatives are already using positive results.
We connect after the break.
Betway's cash out just got way better. Our enhanced early, partial, and auto cash out feature lets you cash out your bet out early. Cash out a portion of your ongoing bets, or even set your bets to cash out automatically. All this to give you way more control over every thrilling bet you place. Sign up today at betway.com.gh. Terms and conditions apply. Regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. No under 18. Betway. Get way more.
Of the year, just in some points, Momo Pay, or you say Momo app. Send with ease and win big. You be merchant or you be Momo user. Momo season Abanti, send the Send the Momo season Abanti, send the
From now till the end of September, earn points when you download the Momo app and make Momo Pay transactions to a merchant via either the QR code or merchant ID and stand the chance of winning 1,000 Ghana cedis weekly and other amazing prizes. Our merchants are not left out. Receive payment and win. There are lots and lots of exciting prizes to be won. So download the Momo app, transact with Momo Pay, and get rewarded this Momo season. TNCs apply.
MTN.
Hooray! The Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited's Back to School promotion is here with us once again. From the 4th of September to the 31st of October 2023, Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited is giving a generous 10% to 15% discount on all school items like textbooks, pens, pencils, erasers, exercise books, and so much more across all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Takoradi, Winneba, and Cape Coast. Parents, teachers, and students, please hurry while stock lasts. For more information, call us on 0302 764 101 or 0302 764 209 or email info@kingdomgh.com. You can also visit our website www.kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books, where quality and affordability are both assured. Terms and conditions apply.
Luxurious, affordable living is your right, and no one understands it better than BOT Properties. BOT Properties specializes in modern residential buildings and commercial office spaces. Our properties include the Equator, a 12-story made up of over 100 apartments near Accra Mall. Other Equator courts, we offer you the deluxe living experience with our top-of-the-range homes, high-quality homes built with style and precision to suit your lifestyle. The Equator Courts is a gated community with 2-story, 4-bedroom detached houses at Ogbojo, East Legon, near American House. Our office complexes include Zion House, Shiashi, East Legon, Zion House, Sofa Line Interchange, Kumasi. Our offices and apartments are for both rental and outright purchases at affordable prices and with flexible payment terms. Kindly contact us on 0257 960 919 or visit botproperties.com. BOT Properties, the new meaning of affordable luxury.
No matter your water needs, Syntex has it all. Syntex tank was first to introduce double layer tank, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Syntex tank was first to introduce white inner layer tanks in Ghana, and now introduces the customer specs order, which will let you order any color and size you want. Syntex tanks gives you the biggest warranty of 7 years, which no other tank gives you. So whatever your water consumption, size of project, or demand, choose Syntex tank. Syntex tank, stress-free. Syntex tank, reliable. Syntex tank, maximum guarantee. Call 0244 335 168. Kumasi 0505 555 666 or visit syntexgh.com. Syntex Tank. A strong, a tough.
I'm afraid. Yeah. Media some bisanda mo. Eti emrati no. Mu ho pa na tumi hwe na mo bodom pe mo man yakono. Eye kwabna. No mu ho nso na tumi just mali me maye ni nyina de. Eye kojo. Enu kro. Kobre tumi hwe na bodom pe mo sense wo yusu accident eba. Aye den oban ni do braye. Bu si eti na mo ho ban na sem ma na ho de ne. Sa ani na kudwo nso yusu accident chako. Na enu ne de e ma wo se wo ye krejen fita. Na watimi asiri bedwo ma na feel you. Hey kojo sa. Yeah. Pepsodent Heba and a Pepsodent Charcoal. Afedie. Ya kono natural.
FDIJ Jadi Nkatoyatu.
Welcome back to the show. So tonight, like I told you, we have to ask, do you agree with President Akufo-Addo when he says at this climate change conference in Nairobi, Kenya, that the fight against illegal mining is being won? We are having this conversation intertwined with the concept of climate change and how the forest is being devastated and the dreadful concept of illegal mining. And this week, we showed you on the Joy News channel that captivating documentary by our colleague Erastus Asare Donko, Forest Under Siege, with a spotlight being shown on the Apamprama forest. We'll connect with our guests who are already joining us on Zoom and on phone and in studio right away. But first, please listen to this.
Rebel liberation.
Miners, and then you make all forest reserves and no go area. Repeal LI 2462.
Please, this is when you sang me, I sing from the deep. Don't in me, I tell me, I feel like the weep. Only but thing I go on where the people can't keep, can't sleep, but the burn it and become your self-esteem. You are the one to make life easy, same you are make it harder. After everybody mash up and there is nowhere to scatter. Tell me where we gonna run go. After making our motherland a better place to live. Tell me where we gonna run go. When them say we have to pay for the oxygen we breathe.
So in terms of the policy, and you see we have a lot of the policy initiatives. But in terms of their effectiveness, in terms of our ability to actually police the things that we ought to do. So we're supposed to have been tagging our these excavators and all of that. But so you, with all of these things done, what is the impact? What is the output?
We haven't seen any verifiable improvement haven't. And Ghana Water, so one of the NGCR will be Ghana Water. The last time I heard Ghana Water, they were complaining that the cost of processing the water is gone up. They were very clear that because of the Galamsey activity. So Ghana Water and our Forestry Commission, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. We have seen illegal mining going on right under the nose of the Forestry Commission. So based on this, I cannot agree with the president.
So what's your own views? Do you agree with President Akufo-Addo and the general commitment of this government to fight illegal mining? Probably one of the topics we've discussed the most times on Ghana Connect is matters of illegal mining. It comes and it goes, especially every now and then that this conversation is being had. Listen, you can also join in shortly. I'll announce the phone lines and the WhatsApp, Telegram that you can reach us on. But these gentlemen are joining, these gentlemen and ladies are joining us for this conversation. Connecting with us, Kenneth Ejiri is a lawyer and co-founder Youth Alliance for Green Ghana. Kenneth, good evening and welcome to the show. Hello, Ken.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Well, Ken, it's good to have you here. Erastus Asari Donko is our colleague here at the Multimedia Group. He's been doing some great work on illegal mining, and this week he shot the spotlight on illegal mining going on in the Apamprama Forest in the Ashanti region. He connects with us. Erastus, good to see you. Good evening. If you can unmute, you are muted.
Yeah, good evening. Thanks for having me.
Super. Erastus is joining us from Kumasi, connecting with us for tonight. Emmanuel Owusu J is a graduate student in the United States of America. Emmanuel, good evening.
Hi, Kwaku. Good evening.
Yeah,
a very good evening to your listeners as well.
Great, good to have you here. Selam Dramani Dramado is convener Justice for Ghana Pressure Group. He's connecting with us right here in the studio.
Good evening, Kwaku.
Yeah, I hope you are doing great.
Alhamdulillah, I'm doing well.
Super. Good to have you on. Lorinda Tay is a University of Ghana SRC General Secretary hopeful. Very soon she's going to announce that she's going to run for that position at the University of Ghana. She's also connecting with us in the studio. Lorinda, good to have you. Right, Lorinda is going to give us her views. And then Jimmy Mbogo is a business anchor, KTN News in Kenya. He's connecting with us all the way from Kenya. And Kenya is instructive because that is the place that this climate conference was held, where President Akufo-Addo claimed, among others, that the fight against illegal mining generally was working in the country. It's good to have you, Jimmy.
Thank you very much, Kwaku, and I'm glad to be part of the show.
Right. Very soon, I expect Benedicta Akesianan is a lawyer and lead legal consultant at Echo Africa Network to join us. And my name is Kwaku Asante. You can also join us 055-11-11997, 055-11-11997. Send us a message on WhatsApp or Telegram. I'll be excited to bring your views in. And guys, lady, please let's make this conversation as possible. You can almost always come in. So Erasmus, let me start off with you. I want you to give us the synopsis, the brief overview. Then you can take leave of us. Then our other connectors can get into the matters. What did you find when you went into the Apamprama Forest? And did it give you any indication that the president may be right when he says that the ban on illegal mining is working, and the measures that they have put in place to deal with illegal mining may truly be working?
Well, so when we decided to hit the road, we were not thinking about Apamprama Forest Reserve alone. In fact, the main project that we were working on is to gauge the public health implications of illegal mining across the country as we speak. And so when we started, that was the focus. And we are looking at bringing that documentary to our viewers by the end of this month. We are doing the editing now. So Poison for Gold will hit the Joy News platforms very soon. But as we're going around, we saw that contrary to what the president said this year, that indeed, together with the security agencies, they've cordoned off all forest reserves. All 200 and something forest reserves have been cordoned off and protected. What we were seeing on the ground was a total different story. And so we decided that, okay, then let's run the two projects alongside each other. So whilst we're gathering information for the Poison for Gold documentary, we're also gathering information for the Forest Under Siege. And so we've been to a number of reserves. And when we are done with the Poison for Gold, we'll be bringing you Forest Under Siege, Tanonimre Forest Reserve, Forest Under Siege, Etiwa Forest, Forest Under Siege, Kokusua Forest Reserve. And you will begin to see that indeed when the president says they are protecting the forest, indeed the forests are open for mining. When we entered at the Apamprama Forest Reserve, just about a month ago, we were shocked. In fact, I knew that they were mining the forest reserve, but what I did not know was that the devastation has gotten to that level. I can tell you that the devastation in the Apamprama Forest Reserve currently is about half of Ashanti region. In fact, you can drive a drone, drive it for miles of devastation, and it's unending. And all that forest we saw in 2018 when we went into that forest is gone. Flora, fauna, trees, everything gone. And in fact, what you see is pits, gullies here and there. In fact, when they started, I have a history with the Apamprama Forest Reserve because I started following illegal mining way back in 2015. But in 2018, when the woes of that particular forest started, we were there. The late Sir John convinced people in the Kobro community. And in fact, the Kobro community is part of about 7 communities that are in and around the Apamprama Forest Reserve. We have Kobro, Abulakwa, Brenebin, Odahon, Watreso, and Odaso. Now, when they mounted a barrier and they made the sign that they were doing reclamation of the forest, and in fact, that was a big fat lie. There was no reclamation going on. When later we went into the forest to check, it was Imperial Heritage Mining Limited that was doing mining inside the forest reserve under the pretext of prospecting. You know, with prospecting, you cannot carry heavy equipment into the forest reserve and do prospecting. The guy had a prospecting license and he was using about 30 excavators within the forest reserve. We did a report. Operation Vanguard was sent in there to drive them away. They seized their equipment. They were asked to return the equipment and apologize. They did. The Interministerial Task Force went in and they seized their equipment. What happened? They drove the leader of the task force away. They gave the equipment back to them and they went back into the mining. In 2021, we went back there to check what was happening there. The man had mined the Kobro section and had come to Odaho section and was mining the same forest. There, he was protected by over 30 fully armed Ghana Armed Forces military men. We were detained for 5 hours in that forest by this same person, Imperial Heritage. They mined the forest until now. And now we are having thousands of hectares gone. The River Oda, the River Subri, the Apamprama River itself would get their source of water from the forest are as polluted as you can. And when we go into the main documentary, we have fetched samples of that river, these rivers across the country. We've done the test with Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Will tell you the amount of heavy metals they have in there. And if you go to the estuaries, you see the rivers polluting the sea. And so if the president goes back to Kenya and then he passes that statement that what he started is yielding results, I am a grounds person, and I keep asking myself, which results? Is it the devastation of the Apamprama Forest Reserve? Is it the devastation and the continuous devastation of the Tano Nimre Forest, which Chemawun to me started? And nobody did anything to him. Now other people have gone into that forest, and it will shock you when we bring you the devastation to the Tano Nimre Forest Reserve. Now the only company that is relying on that forest reserve now is collapsing because they have to spend monies from the company now to fight illegal miners, because they are not getting any support from government to fight the illegal miners who are now eating deep into the biodiversity forest. You go to Etiwa, now some illegal miners have started encroaching. They have gone deep and they are mining in there. Some of them have laid siege with guns and other things, and they are in there mining. Sometimes I wonder whether indeed the Forestry Commission, whether they've closed their eyes to their main duty, or they just don't want to do their job. Remember, the devastation of the Apamprama Forest Reserve started way back in 2018. That guy was given an entry permit by the Forestry Commission to do prospecting. None of the Forestry Commission officials went in there to find out whether indeed it is prospecting he was doing. They waited and observed as the guy moved in with over 30 excavators, contrary to mining regulations, and started destroying the forest. They did nothing. Nothing. Allowed the guy to destroy the forest. Other people joined in. What did the Forestry Commission do? And they waited until the forest now is gone. The same way they are now looking on as other forests. You go to Merwa, there's the forest reserve in there, close to Sehubekwai. As I speak with you, there are people in there mining that forest reserve. You go to Bekwai and you look at that forest reserve in there, and you see how devastated what they've done to that forest reserve. When you drive through the Ayamfre, Diasu Road, Wasada Diasu, Wasa Kropong, mining is being done by the roadside. German and its environs. Mining is done by the roadside. The residue from the mining is flowing along the roadside as if nobody is seeing it. Go to Odumase in the Asante Achem district and look at how people are digging beneath homes. So far, 2 homes have collapsed, killing 3 people. And people are looking on. Now look at all the river bodies we have in the country. Champagne machines are sitting on almost every one of them. Ankobra, Pristia Bogoso, champagne machines. We pictured them in videos. You go to Ofing, Abompe, Abesia, and its environs. Champagne machines sitting on the Ofing River, destroying it. You go to Tano, Chemawun to me and his people started it. Now there are champagne machines and Chinese people are in there. We all see the river bodies as polluted as they are, running through Ghana like a plague, spreading its poisonous content across farms.
Incredible.
So what does the president need to see? Who is briefing the president? So that he will make that statement that indeed what he started is yielding results. What positive results are we talking about?
What positive results are we talking about? And Erastus, they're kindly laying out the basis for this conversation about how devastating illegal mining is to the forest. I mean, very good premise set by Erastus to get into the conversation. Erastus, as always, thank you very much for the work you're doing. What incredible work you're doing, shining the light on illegal mining in the country. So let me come into the studio and start with Lorinda. Lorinda, you've heard the chilling account there from Erastus. There are a lot of people who've said that we may never win the fight against illegal mining, climate change conversation. First off, what is your reading? How do you assess how we are doing as a country when it comes to illegal mining?
Okay. To my best of knowledge, we are not winning this fight, but rather we are losing woefully. I say this because illegal mining, known as galamsey, is still taking place in our forest reserves and in our water bodies. And then places like Obuasi, amongst and other areas, are being mined. And I think this is all as a result of unemployment. And then there are fights that occur day in, day out as a result of this between the people that are mining and then the management.
Where do you come from?
Adan.
Adan.
Yes,
they mine?
please.
Okay, Adan, they mine salt there, right?
Yes.
So illegal mining and salt. Maybe we'll get into that conversation one of these days. But I'll come back to you, Dorinda. You've also told us about what you feel about what we are doing as a country. Justice for Ghana. You've done a number of demonstrations already about some of these things. You've made your voice heard. When you hear the president say that we are winning the fight against galamsey and that the measures they've put in place are working, how do you respond?
Thank you very much, Kwaku, and good evening to your listeners and your viewers on all the social media platforms this evening or tonight on Ghana Connect. Kwaku, let me preface my submission by saying my heartfelt commendation to Joy FM and especially Erasmus for this riveting, startling account of what is going on in our forest reserves, which the documentary has actually contradicted what the president has said. And like you said, as Justice for Ghana and the convener for Justice for Ghana, we have taken the position to be critical of all policies embarked on or being rolled out by government. It is not our, it is not, like we don't take perverse pleasure in criticizing at this administration when we say the administration has failed to perform to the satisfaction and expectation of Ghanaians. Kwaku, you have given an ocular evidence of what is happening in the forest, in our forest reserves. The president's statement or remarks at the summit or the what's the name of the thing again where he had
Kenya,
was it a forum
about climate change in
climate
Kenya,
change forum that he attended. Your ocular evidence that you adduced in terms of this documentary has sharply contradicted what the president has said at that forum. Look, when you look at how the president carries his duties as president of this republic, you can clearly tell that it is a man in hurry for self-adulation. It is good to court praise. It is good to desire praise, but there is an extent to which you can desire praise. The fact on the ground is that Ghana is losing the fight to galamsey. Those actively engaging in galamsey have kind of defeated the government of Ghana, and galamsey is going on. The startling thing about this whole thing is that it appears there is an executive collusion. There is an executive complicity in this. That is why the various actors in this galamsey thing, they are doing it with utmost and sheer impunity. Which is why you tend to ask yourself, what is the president really saying when it comes to the fight against galamsey? The fact is that the president has just rolled out something, just as usual, to prove to Ghanaians that he's doing something, when in fact, the motivation for doing this thing is just for the optics that he is performing. He has failed the fight against galamsey. And the president should take note. You see, when they write statement, your statement or address for you, as a president, the onus is on you to double check what you journalists do. The claims that are contained in the statement they have written for you, you must double check, because the area we are in now, it is an area where we fact check. You just don't go around rattling off things that are not in existence.
So I want you to hold your horses there. I see that you're getting into the groove, and I'll come back to you about what the president needs to do. Ejir and Emmanuel, I'll come to you shortly, but I want to go to Kenya and speak to Jimmy Mboga. Jimmy, I mean, it's in your country that this climate change conference was hosted, and there's a lot of talk about African leaders and what we can do to be able to stem the tide of climate change. I'm not sure if in Kenya you have any problem with illegal mining or anything. If you do, please let us know. But do you sense that there was some seriousness attached to the conference in terms of the persons who came and the ability to actually match the rhetoric, especially in your country and close by? Hello, Jimmy. Can you unmute, please, Jimmy?
All right, quick. I don't know if you can hear me now.
I can hear you now, loud and clear.
All right, fantastic. So thank you so much for having me on. One of the things that we really have to appreciate is that for the first time in the continent is sort of speaking in with one voice. We are all pulling together and saying that it's about time that we all contribute into this conversation. Now, the problem that has been across the continent is we've had different countries, a select pocket of countries just saying this climate affair is now making life very difficult for our region. If it's countries from West Africa, for instance, they will say you probably have one of the presidents from West African countries saying this is the problem that climate change is bringing to this is how it's affecting our population. You probably have another president from East Africa saying the same thing, and South Africa the same thing. But for the first time, and this is why for a lot of the feeling within the Kenyan population is that for the first time we have a majority of African heads of state, slightly more than half who are part of the Africa Climate Summit, and now agreeing to the Nairobi Declaration and saying it is about time that Africa spoke with one voice. Now, the issue that, and just to go back to your question on the issue of whether there's actual real intentions to try and move this conversation more way past the boardroom. Of course, that is something that town will, but I feel, and a lot of the people that we have been speaking to, particularly the CEO of the Africa Climate Summit, this is a step in the right direction. There's still a lot more that needs to be done. This conversation needs to be taken out of these fancy air-conditioned boardrooms now to actualization. And I'm sure you've been following this conversation throughout the week. One of the things that African leaders have been calling is to make sure that the big polluters, and we're talking about the likes of China, India, the US, also pay for the problems that they are causing to the continent. Because and I'm sure again, Kuku, most of your viewers and listeners probably are aware of this, that Africa is the least emitter. Our emission contribution is it's slightly less than 4%. And now, but in terms of the effect and the impact of climate change, we are the continent that is worst hit by some of the issues that are coming up. I'll just take you through some numbers in the region. Just recently, the East African region, we're talking about Kenya, Somalia, Djibouti, Ethiopia. That entire block has had the worst drought we've had in over 40 years. And we're just going by the official numbers that were put out. When you look at some of the economic activities of a lot of our population, we're talking about farmers. These are people with herds of cattle. But you'll see that in Kenya, for instance, we lost about 2.5 million herds of cattle. In the region, we're talking about almost 10 million herds of cattle. This is not just a sign of how bad things are, but again, this just goes to show you that if nothing is done, this could actually keep worsening. Now, the other conversation that, of course, featured prominently during this climate summit is how much then can the private sector do? How much more do these polluters need to pay? And I'm sure you've also had a look at the Paris Agreement. Some of the things that most of these polluters had agreed to is the fact that they need to honor their commitments to provide over 100 billion annually, that is for climate finance, and this has not been happening. Now it's the first time that again the continent is speaking in one voice. We ended up having a commitment of about 23 billion out of this out of this summit that is expected to go towards green growth mitigation and adaptation of climate change. So this for a lot of people and a lot of experts that we've been speaking to throughout the week, they're saying this is a step in the right direction, but there's still a lot more that needs to happen.
Incredible thoughts there from you, Jimmy. Jimmy, thanks very much for joining us all the way from Kenya to, box this incredible perspective about climate change and how we can relate with it in this country. That is where the president made the claims about winning the fight against illegal mining and how things are yielding some good results. Thank you very much, Jimmy Mboga, for joining us all the way from Kenya. He's a broadcaster and he connected with us from Kenya. Let's come back home and let me do Kenneth Ejero before I do Emmanuel Ewusweji. Kenneth, you are a lawyer. You are also a co-founder of the Youth Alliance for Green Ghana. There cannot be any greening, really, if these illegal mining continue, because according to Forest Watch and the data that they've put out just this week, we've lost millions of hectares of land to illegal mining. Clearly, that's some big concern that we need to be paying attention to. Hello, Kenneth. Can you unmute? Yes.
Yes. Let me start by commending Rastos and the team for the evidence, the overwhelming evidence they have provided, to rebut the flowery remarks being made about Ghana winning the fight against illegal mining. And the question now comes to the enforcement of our laws. We are in a country that has a lot of commitment in this climate, scene. We are always willing and ready to hop on to some, movement in the climate space and try to show internationally that we are committed to climate change. But when we come down to Ghana, the question is, how are we enforcing our laws? How are we enforcing regulations? How are we empowering institutions to ensure that our promises are reflected in the actions on the ground? And that is the real question here. We cannot continue to make remarks as such and show no evidence to back, such assertions. I would say that the real metric for measuring whether a government or a government institution has succeeded in the fight against galamsey lies with the people. And so we ask the ordinary Ghanaian living in the Tiwa landscape, the ordinary Ghanaian living in the Tano landscape, the ordinary Ghanaian living in Apraprama, that are we satisfied with what is being done, against galamsey? And the response will be no. And so we are here risking access to water. We are risking the lives of people. Just within this week or last week, we heard the news of some young guys who were shot by illegal miners. And so it goes beyond just the destruction they are causing to our environment, to our water bodies, to our forests, to even threats to the lives of people who are going about their daily activities just for some people's parochial and personal gains. And so there are many questions that we need to sit down as a people and ask ourselves. Are we going to continue with the flowery language? Are we going to, embark on this sloganeerism and keep on, tickling ourselves that we have won the fight against illegal mining? The signs, the overwhelming evidence has been provided. We are not close to winning, and we need to empower institutions. We need to up our game. We need to be true to ourselves, and we need to take action. We pass the laws and we don't enforce them. We pass the law and we enforce them against the ordinary person and not those who are in power. And so how do we seek to win the fight when these are the persons perpetrating this catastrophe?
Yeah, Emmanuel, that is a good point to bring in. Do you agree with Kenneth when he says that we are just paying lip service to this fight against illegal mining, this fight against galamsey, and it's just flowery speeches and flowery talks. Do you agree, Emmanuel?
Yes, Kwaku. A very good afternoon to your listeners. You know,
Good afternoon.
there's
Good
a
afternoon,
publication.
because you are in the United States. We are in Accra, and it's good evening here.
Oh, a very good evening to your listeners. I'm very sorry about that. So, there's a publication by one Richard Kuma of Queen's University who actually mentions that the issue of illegal mining in Ghana, there is that disconnect between rules and the reality. So, like normally if you hear people make speeches or about the success of the rules that they have set, or possibly like the strategies that they are trying to implement to stop these illegal mining, there is that disconnect between what they think that it is actually being done and the reality on ground. I like what His Royal Majesty Asante put it. He says that if you go to the ground and arrest these guys who are actually, on grounds working as illegal miners, you have not done anything, because these guys actually do not have the resources to purchase like these machines, these huge machinery to actually do these galamsey mining operations in Ghana. The actual people are the top of government, top government officials, top business people who are in bed with government officials doing these mining operations in Ghana. And there is that disconnect also between what the law says and the powers of our traditional rulers as well. Because to be frank with you, I recommend what the Asante is doing in terms of the instrument and also some initiatives that he has taken to help these illegal mining in Ghana. To be honest with you, and he says that the government, whatever strategies that they are implementing are just on the paper. If you go on ground and you go and arrest and show video, use chopper around, just showing videos of how you are fighting illegal mining, but on ground we actually mining our forest reserve, then it means that the government has failed in fighting illegal mining. So there is that disconnect. Possibly maybe some people are misreporting to the president, but on the reality it is not. So you get sad each day if you look at the stories of illegal mining, especially looking at what our forefathers like John Mensa Kabadem had gone through to fight the Crown's Land Bill of 1897 and all those, just to protect our land. And now with the current generation, for the sake of power, money, and possibly what we will gain, we are now destroying forest reserves that have been there for all these years.
For all these years, destroying them. And Ampem, I'll come back again with another round of conversation to see what we can all do. But Lorraine, I want to ask you, do you think that it is in such a way that there are so many people in government or people up in higher places who may be benefiting in this illegal mining menace, for which reason we are still stuck where we are? But do you think there's some executive complicity, in the words of Selom Jamadu?
With that, because if you don't have interest, why then is the fight becoming so difficult? Yes, because they are gaining from it, and then they are not thinking about the ordinary Ghanaian, but rather from the benefits or from the money they are able to make. So they rather would want to protect their interest than to fight for the interest of the ordinary Ghanaian, than to seek for the well-being of the Ghanaian or the ordinary Ghanaian, than to protect our water bodies, than to preserve our forest. They would rather say.
The question is, illegal mining has been such a big thing for a number of years,
long time.
And it is only this government that has made it such a topical thing, because the president, in fact, said that he was going to put his presidency on the line. So some would say, well, this government is doing its best, even if it's not winning so much like we would expect. We'd agree.
I won't agree with that. We were here when we had news that Chairman Wuntumi and other people in government are engaging in this. Nothing has happened to them. They are still working freely there. It shows that if I'm in power too, I can go and then give it a try to go and extract this gold, because nothing will be done to me. My government is in power. But if the president cites example by punishing those people, seeking and going out to look for those so-called leaders that are involved in this activity and are punishing them, the laws are being enforced on them, I'm sure it will serve as a deterrent to other big people not to go into this.
I mean, Salom, do you agree that it's just lip service that we are paying so far as Ejiro has laid the foundation?
That is the popular view of Ghanaians. The view on the ground is that Ghanaians have lost interest in the fight against Galamsey, thanks to how the president has handled this. You said that the president has actually put his presidency on the line in 2020 election, when he said that he was going to launch or wage a merciless onslaught on Galamsey. Kwaku, it has turned out to be just a rhetoric. So, as usual, this president, sorry if I appear to be picking so much on the president, because everything rises and falls on leadership. And that is what guides me. Everything rises and falls on leadership.
But the president is in Accra. There's so many chiefs, we are told, who are complicit in illegal mining, who are giving out lands, who are actually fully backing these illegal miners. There's so much the president can do, some would argue, even with the state powers at his disposal, if the people at the grassroots level are themselves complicit. At
the risk of sounding blasphemous, I would say that the president is omnipresent. The president of the Republic of Ghana is omnipresent, in that the president has representatives all over the country, across the country. So there's nothing happening in this country that the president isn't aware of. The president, as I speak today, this evening or tonight, the president knows or is abreast of what is happening in Central Tong constituency, where I come from, because the president has a representative there. That is the DC of Central Tong districts. So we cannot say that because the president is in Accra, he doesn't know what is happening across the country. The president, as I say, he is omnipresent, at the risk of again sounding blasphemous. Look, Kwaku, when you look at politicians, it is just like they are toying with the future of this country. The issue of climate change is a critical one. Climate change poses threats to humanity. Our existence on this planet is being threatened by what is happening today in the climate, or to the climate. So if you are a president of the Republic of Ghana and you know what is happening in our forest reserves, and you have a fantastic opportunity to attend international conference that talks about climate change, and all you go and do there is to engage in praising yourself, praise adulation, that is unacceptable. What that does is that it is giving the people of Ghana some pent-up feelings about how leaders of this country are not honest. Look, it appears the laws of this country are only honored in breach, thanks to our political leadership, because they should pretend this, that the laws of this country can only be honored in breach, because when you breach the law, it has no consequences. It comes to no consequences flow out of the contravening the laws of this country. That is what is happening. Look, elsewhere, the president should have been taking some barrage of flack for saying something at a forum that was sharply contradicted by a powerful media house that continues to live up to its three adjectives: independent, fearless, and credible.
Okay, let me hold you there. Let's get to social media and see if you can get some comments of people who are connecting with us there. Incredible conversation so far in the studio. Everyone around the table seemed to disagree with the president that the fight against illegal mining is being won. We want to see what you think. And we did a poll on Twitter. We have some comments also coming in. And my colleague Michael Papani Ashale will join me with that shortly. Michael, how are the comments looking like? Just brief. I mean, do they seem to agree with the president or not?
Before we come to what Ghanaians themselves think, let's go to Ireland, right? And Yao tells us that, well, illegal mining, the word, and for that matter, Africa is a very interesting place. Now, generally, when you hear Democratic Republic of something, it implies no democracy. Independent Electoral Commission implies not independent. So, therefore, anti-Galamsey only means that pro-Galamsey, and that is impression of what really is going on. Let me take you to the United States of America. You have Bannerman who is texting us. He says that officials like the president appointed to stop Galamsey are not sincerely given the reality of the situation in the Galamsey areas. The president should tour the Galamsey areas. Oh, yeah, an interesting thing. I'm not sure I have seen the president in boots on the grounds in the places where some of Erastus's documentaries have come from. So internationally, this is what exactly we have. In Tema, Guy Fawkes tells us that, well, the questions we must be asking is, where are the independently verifiable metrics that we are using to measure this that show clearly that there is any improvement in the fight against Galamsey? How could the president go to such a massive conference and say what he said? Thank you very much, Guy Fawkes.
Interesting comments there. But I told you about that poll that we organized on Twitter. The question was, do you agree with President Akufo-Addo's claims that government's fight against illegal mining Galamsey is yielding results? Well, 93% of our respondents so far say no. They do not agree with the view of the president if he asserts that Galamsey and the measures his government has put in place is yielding results. Only 7% saying that they believe that there's some results. And the comments there, they are wild to say, where are the results? Some are saying that you cannot take this government serious. A number of comments that have come in there. And Michael has also run us through a few of them. Michael, take us through one or two of them that we have on our WhatsApp. Then we can go around the table and call it a night.
Well, there's quite a long one from Maxwell. But Maxwell really says that farmers and youth against community and small-scale mining are in court seeking an injunction to the proposed community mining program. We will fight to protect our pristine stream and farms. And if we go to some of the villages, the once clear water that they used to bathe in has now become what we call Milo tea now, unfortunately. But it has become tea so brown that you can't see it. And I was in Ankobra just recently, and that exactly was the case. That we used to pass on that river knowing that, clear water, people were bathing in the water. My mom is an Enzima, so I try to go to my hometown.
Right, great one. Thank you very much, Michael Papani, for bringing us what the viewers on social media. Let me bring you Ejir in, then I go to Emmanuel, then I come and wrap up in the studio. Ejir, I get the point about climate change and how important it is. Illegal mining is such a big thing. We all want to defeat it. But there are still those who insist that climate change is such a hoax. You found Youth Alliance for Green Ghana. You believe in climate change, and you've been doing a lot of things for that. But what are we doing to combat that notion that climate change is simply a hoax for people like you to get grants, for instance, from international NGOs?
I would say that climate change is real, and we see the signs all around us. If you even observe the rainfall pattern in August and September in Ghana, you would realize that there's a lot changing in our climate and atmospheric patterns. And the point is, how do we get people to understand that climate change is real? Now, for as a matter of first things first, we have to focus on education. We need to get the people to understand and be able.
Hello, Ejir.
To read the science. Good. People in our communities would plan their farms around the rainy season or the rainfall patterns, and there's no rain. And so you can.
It appears I'm having some challenge with Kenneth there. If Kenneth's line comes back, I'll be glad to go back to him. But Emmanuel, you were making a point early on about the role of chiefs, and you cited Kwaku Asante to back the point that the chiefs have some role to play, and that you believe that they must be doing all this.
Yes, very cool. So, as I initially said, the chiefs are the custodians of the land that, like we have in Ghana, because, they have the rights to the land, they own the land traditionally. And that is actually what Mensa Sabat and all, JW de Graaf Johnson, Casey Hayford, them fought for us. So I believe that in the powers of the chiefs, they can stop these galamsey. I mean, like, dare you not abuse that? The two force says nobody should mine, let's say, in Bekwai. Then, I mean, you go there, mine. You dare not. So I believe that Achime Buakwa Hine, Jabin Hine, Asantuma Hine, all these chiefs, all these, paramount chiefs, will be able to fight the galamsey that we are seeing. And as the two for said, that Mamu Nyayam, all that they are doing, like showing videos, the arrests that they are doing, are actually, fake. The top people, the top businessmen, they are actually doing this galamsey. And I believe that traditionally our chiefs will be able to stop this galamsey, because my only problem is customary law and the laws of the state issuing concessions to private individuals to go and mine. That's where my only problem is. But then, if you have a king like the Asante who has actually promised that anywhere on his land that they mine galamsey and he's not aware, he will intervene, then possibly I believe that our chiefs will be able to solve it. So places like Etiwa and all, those places, I believe that the Achebe Buakwa Hine and all those chiefs, they can stop it. So galamsey can be stopped. It's actually a joint,
effort.
Joint effort that we all have to put in. But I believe that the chiefs are the stakeholders of the land. They are the custodians of the land, that they are mandated to protect the land.
So the role of chiefs there, that is the point that Emmanuel Ampim says to wrap up. And let me come to you, Jimmy Mboga, maybe in a minute before you take leave of us. The conference has ended. We are all returning back. Do you sense that we are bringing something with us, really, that we are coming to use to fight the climate change phenomenon? Or is just going to be a talk shop as usual? Jimmy is still on. Let me try and hear from Jimmy. Okay, so Jimmy has taken leave of us. But Jimmy wanted to make the point about the climate change conference that has just ended. But let me come back to studio. Let me start off with you, Selom. So where do we go from here? That's the question, the big question on the minds of listeners. Where do we go from here, and how do we fix that?
From here, Kwaku, that's an excellent question. It is incumbent on us, the youth of this country, to rise up and take leadership on. Because when you look at Article 41 of the Constitution, which places on us the duties of citizens of this country, I think K, which talks about the environment, that the environment, we should make sure that the environment is protected. So that is a right given to us, that is a duty placed on us by the Constitution of Ghana to protect the environment. So that protection also extends to the presidency. The president must assist us, the people of this country, to protect our environment. So if the president is not taking that duty seriously, it is incumbent on us, the citizens of this country, to take up that duty now to protect our environment. Because it appears that Ghana is gradually becoming like a failed state. That we are on the brink, we are on the cusp of becoming a failed state, because our laws aren't working, because politicians now are just interested in protecting their interests. So there is no what we call servant leadership. It is about what people in political class stand to gain, what they use their offices to amass wealth at the expense of the struggling masses on the street. That is why the struggling masses must wake up. They should wake up from their slumber and take the politicians on. Particularly this government that is completely that has failed this country. They should take the government on, because there is a pent-up feeling amongst Ghanaians that may result spontaneously in popular protest that even the police of this country cannot contain.
I mean, talk about that. There's some impending protests coming up 21st September.
Sure.
Let me wrap up with you, Lorinda, and the sense you get whether we can win this at all, and whether there is any hope for that in terms of where we are going next, what you believe we can all do?
Okay, so there is hope for us, but it will begin with we, the youth. Because if the youth are actively participating in these activities, then we have no future. So then we have to educate the youth more. We have to provide job opportunities for the youth because of unemployment. That's why they are engaging in this activity. So then we need to focus on the youth more. And then I think there is hope for us.
There's hope. I mean, yeah, you were making the point on the Ken Nigeria before your line broke, and then I saw that you had left. I mean, give us your final words, whether we can win this fight and whether there is hope. Your view in, say, 30 seconds.
Yes, there is hope. And it starts with demonstrating real commitment. A demonstration of a real commitment to fight Galamsey must start with us, must start with our leaders, and must rally the support of all Ghanaians. You cannot tell Ghanaians to support you when you have not taken the initiative. When the real action on the ground doesn't reflect the statements that you make. And so, to the people of Ghana, we know the damage that is being caused to our water bodies, to the threats to our very survival. And so we need to demand accountability. Just as we are doing, we need to demand accountability. The evidence is overwhelming. We need to demand accountability. We need to take action. We need to get things right. Lest we are going to die. Basically, we are threatening our own survival, because how are we going to have access to water? Our farms are being destroyed by polluted water, and these are cyanide chemicals that poison our water bodies, our food, our farms, and threaten our very survival. And so we need to demand accountability. We need to speak up. We need to bring more evidence. In fact, there's overwhelming evidence, as I said, but we need to bring more evidence to bear and to show that the government needs to do a lot more than it says it has done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bright Ejero, Kenneth Ejero there, ending the conversation. It's been an incredible conversation that I've loved, a conversation about climate change that we are all interested in. And that is how we wrap up on Ghana Connect today. Kenneth Ejero is a lawyer and co-founder of Youth Alliance for Green Ghana. Emmanuel Owuswe J connected with us all the way from the United States. Selom Dramado is convener Justice for Ghana. He joined us in studio. Lorinda Tay is aspiring to be UGRC secretary. She joined us in studio as well. Jimmy Imboga, all the way from Kenya. He is an anchor on KTN News. We expected Benedicta Akesi to join us. She wasn't able to do so. My name is Kwaku Asante, show produced by Papa Nim and the entire team. We'll see